Disclaimer, this show is for educational purposes only and is not an alternative for clinical counseling. Please seek a mental health professional for your specific needs.
Hello, and welcome back. Today we are talking about the emotions men are told to hide and the cost of that silence. My guest, Cendino Timmy, a first-generation American and award-winning photographer, opens up about depression and a later diagnosis of bipolar disorder. In addition to what it really takes for Black men to feel safe, seen, and supported, we're talking about safe spaces, better questions, and what to do tonight to support the men you love. Let's go.
Welcome back to Intake Talk Show with your host, Bertha F. Barrett, licensed mental health counselor. Today's guest is Cendino Timmy, creative and photographer from Miami, Florida. Your Intake podcast will start momentarily, but first, let's shine a light on what's to come. We spoke to 3 creatives about the importance of men's mental health, especially in the Black community, different walks of life, different art forms, and powerful perspectives. This series will last 6 weeks, and every guest will have a part 1 and part 2 segment. Cendino will be the focus of weeks 5 and 6. Just 2 more weeks of powerful conversation on men's mental health. Unspoken Wounds, men's mental health through a creative lens. And now, your Intake podcast starts now.
Welcome to Intake Talk Show. I'm your host, Bertha Barrett, and today I have with me Cendino Timmy.
That's correct, Cendino Timmy.
All right. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you for being here. So, can you tell the viewers a little bit more about yourself?
I'm a first-generation American. I'm 44 years old. I just turned 44 a few days ago. I'm from Miami, Florida, first-generation American.
Okay.
And I do photography for a living, specializing in destination weddings and telling our story of Black people as well. That's where my passion lies, and also in the mental health arena. It's something that I have to deal with on a daily basis. So it's a pleasure being here on the show.
I love it. Okay. So since we're still focusing on men's mental health, can you tell me, or just give me your view on why do you think society often downplays or ignores men's mental health?
I think it's just because society ends up downplaying men's mental health just because of societal norms or what was said and what you should be doing, things of that sort. And then in particular for Black men, it's even tenfold, on top of that.
I agree.
Because we have to be able to put away our emotions, which is the most human part of us, is emotions. That's what we are essentially.
Right.
That makes us. But we have to put it away in order to get past all of the trials and the tribulations and all of the different things that the country has, had with us.
Right.
So I think men's mental health definitely gets overlooked because of the story that was told as to how men should be, when we're not just one broad brush. Because our individuals that have different experiences, emotions, tolerances.
Exactly.
Things of that sort.
I love it. So with that being said, because there is this idea around masculinity, right? And I know specifically, because I can't talk about any other culture but my own, is that I know for a fact in, the culture, our culture, beautiful brown skinned people, right? We often, have this idea around what masculinity looks like. Okay. And so we raise our sons to be here, of sort, to not cry, don't show emotions. And so you actually raise them to suppress emotions as if it's not manly or, male-like to, show a vulnerability or even sensitivity. And so I want to ask you, as you were growing up, what was the message sent to you as a male about how you should navigate masculinity?
I mean, I got some of those same messages as far as just being a man and not crying, and especially because I was raised in a household full of women. So as like my uncle, like as my example, example as a man.
Mm-hmm.
And it was definitely some of those same things, not crying, and being able to, like suck it up until you have, um, not better, but more important things to do versus feeling as a man and things of that sort. So that can make it extremely, extremely difficult. I think suppressing emotions, especially when you're young, when you're trying to learn them, can be very problematic, and it definitely spews into adulthood.
Yeah.
You really only master one emotion, in my opinion. When you do that, it's just anger.
Mm. Oh, that's key. Oh, okay. Yeah, because that is true. Because we don't stop males from being angry, but we do stop them from expressing any other emotion.
Yeah.
And we have to be careful about that. So even in society too, because I can only talk from, our culture as a therapist, and as a person in different relationships. I know that men, regardless of race, deal with this idea of masculinity, right? And what it looks like to be a man. And often men, because we help them, right, suppress, then when they're in relationships, that becomes difficult. And so they often don't know how to navigate that in relationships, specifically, romantic relationships, being vulnerable, expressing those emotions. And so they shut down. And that's key, right? We have to promote more with our young men and our men in general and help them communicate their emotions, because if you're often sent the message that, being a man looks like I can't share my emotions, then of course, then that teaches you how to suppress.
Yes.
It reinforces it.
Yes, absolutely. Just like anything else, I think one of the messages of being a man is just do.
Mm.
You just do. 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 And that's just a piece of us to be able to do and go provide and things of that sort. Lord. But if you don't have the underlying piece of you, which is our emotional intelligence, being able to be tapped into that, that journey can be very long.
Oh yeah.
As far as being able to process emotions and things of that sort, because it's a very isolated thing. Like when it comes to them, nobody sits together and they'll say, "How you feeling?
Yeah.
How you doing?
Yeah.
And how did that make you feel?"
Yeah.
It says, "Did you get it done?"
Yeah. Yeah.
And regardless of what that took out of you, regardless of the fear that you might have had, or whatever type of reservation that you had while you're trying to do whatever the do is.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, I definitely think like society has taken the man's society, like you said, in general, the man's perspective, and just really just made it this one dimensional thing. When, like as you say, like what it's going to break down to is dealing with individuals, family, interpersonal like relationships, closeness, and that takes a little bit more than just doing. Because I can't, I can't, stack up like things in order to like fix it. Not everything is fixable by our hands.
Oh, that's powerful. Okay, you're right. Yeah. But also too, I'm listening to you talk, but I think too when we reinforce this idea around suppressing with men, is that we also overlook this idea with them of even understanding their emotions, right? Because if you're telling them that they can't, show emotions, right? Then often when they do feel emotions, they have a hard time identifying what it is that they're feeling. And this is why we have to have conversations like this. Like I have this beautiful grandson, as you know. Yes. I have this beautiful grandson, and while I had two daughters, right? I helped raise some nephews, but not from this standpoint, like being one on one with my grandson. I noticed that he's very emotional, right? And because we work as a village, my daughter, my son-in-law, and my oldest daughter, we work as a village. We've often had conversations of how do we help him out, right? Because the reality is, when he goes out into society, society is looking at him in a certain way, specifically as this beautiful brown-skinned child, but as a male too, right? Because if he shows too much emotion, and his dad talked to us about this too, if he shows too much emotion and he goes to school, and most of the time children, males make fun of that, like, oh, you're such a girl. And that was a concern. And so we talked about having this safe space, right, for him. And we are his safe space. So regardless of what he's feeling, he has a space where he can come and talk to us about what he's feeling without being judged, right? And allowing him to feel his emotions, to identify what he's feeling. And I think, as I continue to grow, I realize how important that is to have safe spaces, where you can actually feel what you feel without judgment. And even helping somebody, allowing somebody to help you identify what you feel. That's key. Okay. So my question to you, all right, as this beautiful brown skin man, okay, why do you think African American men in specific, African descendant men, have difficulties with mental health concerns?
Oh man, I think whatever society had, we have it tenfold. You know, as far as any type of issues and trying to navigate these different type of things, and just with our historic story from coming over like from Africa, just even like African culture, like as well. Again, we're workers, we're doers, we do things of that sort. But now you compound that with all of the social pressures that are here, with all of the racism that's out there from slavery on top of that. You as a man, imagine being a slave and you have no control over anything. And the one thing that you can't possibly try to control is your emotions.
Right.
In order to be able to show face for everyone around you, because you have to. So there was no safe space because there wasn't no time to be able to do that. So you couldn't, you struggling to protect those that are around you, let alone yourself.
Right.
And I think it still resonates till today, although things are different as far as laws and we are advanced as a society. We still have some of those same things that we struggle with.
Oh, yeah.
Because different challenges that we have to protect other folks don't have to worry about that. We have to worry about going out and are we going to say the right thing? Can we authentically be ourselves in public?
Right.
And are we going to be able to have to protect our family? Things of that sort. So it can be very difficult, I think, as an African American man coming from the African diaspora, we just have had so much trauma.
Right.
Trauma. I feel like masculinity and manhood, all that is such tied in with trauma, and people never really needed to see what's what.
Right.
It's just if it happened, man up, go.
Right.
You need to.
Yeah.
Move forward. I have tons of examples that I could think of just throughout growing up where I've been in that position where, as a African American male, where I had to suppress no matter what.
Yeah. And that's hard to deal with, right? Because again, all right, let me just be frank. Again, in Western society, right? Western society, there is a push that man rules, right? This is why we constantly have a man in the house, right? Couldn't handle a woman in the house. So we have a man there still. And there's an idea but there's an idea around a specific male. Okay. And this idea makes any other male look small. Let me just say that, small. And when you paint a picture of men as monsters, thugs, all of that, and you reinforce that into people, and then when you see these men, you think of them as thugs versus men who are educated, men who are emotional beings. And now you fear them instead of trying to get to know them, right? And that is a thing that we have to work on as a whole, okay? We fight constantly as African descendant people, as a whole, but we fight too for our men because oftentimes we have to have these stories, and I pray by the time my grandson gets older, we won't have to have these, directions that we give now. As you tell your son that, okay, be careful, right? If a police pull you over, and nothing against police because we have some good ones out there, but we have to, always have them kind of hyper vigilant. Keep your hand on the steering wheel. Yes, sir. No, sir. And we have to program this way. And then when they go into society, corporate America, they got to conduct themselves a certain way versus, just being themselves, right? Because they're educated, well qualified, okay, and know how to conduct themselves. But it's almost like we have to put them in a box because society, Western society as a whole, sees them a certain way. And helping them navigate that in itself as women can be challenging. Okay. So from your standpoint, how can we specifically, because it's us as women, families, how can we help the men, navigate this thing in Western society? And I mean from an African American standpoint. Can you give me your view on that?
I don't know. I think a lot of it is allowing for
Mm-hmm.
those vulnerabilities in those spaces, and not just allowing it, actually coaxing,
I get you.
get it out.
Yeah.
And just being able to be a template for them to be able to express as far as us like as black men,
Mm-hmm.
because just like any other muscle, anything, everything, whether it's mental strength, anything else, like you have to work at it. And unfortunately, emotions is something that we don't have to work through, and that's one of the
Right.
toughest muscles to
Right.
like
Right.
be able to get in shape and things of that
Mhm.
sort. So I think just creating a safe space would be a huge thing, and having conversations like this and encouraging conversations
Mhm.
like this and allowing for the room for someone to say, hey, I don't know,
Right.
or or like I'm sad, or I don't know, like why I'm angry. It like
Right.
helps them kind of navigate that, because like you said, it could be a host of different things that can lead a person to being angry,
Mhm.
but that's just the one emotion that they have. It's
Right.
just that.
Right.
So I think having a area for black men specifically to be able to open up and speak to, it doesn't have to be anything loud and things of that sort.
Mhm.
It could be something very intimate, but to be able to have, I think, especially like with our sisters, whether it's your mother, a sister,
Mhm.
wife, girlfriend, just to have someone to be able to lay in that says it's okay.
Yeah.
Just like a little boy, like
Yeah.
it's hurt, like you still have to
Yeah.
bring him in and say it's okay.
Yeah.
That little boy really never goes away.
Yeah.
He just gets suppressed, like with time and
Mhm.
things of that sort. But that hurt is still there.
Yeah.
So being able to allow for that can be uh, can be something that will make a man a lot more aware of his feelings and how he's getting there, things of that sort, and being able to talk about it. Because I know talking to a man like about his feelings is extremely difficult.
Right.
Fellas never do it like
Right.
each other
Right.
at all. So since women typically will have a better grasp on it just because of how things are and how you guys process things, allowing for some of that balance
Mm-hmm.
to be in a male's life like as well, because a woman has to do too.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Exactly.
So like it's not like you got to just like sitting around most of all day. Like guys are working just as
Right.
hard, doing just as much, but have a little bit more training as to being able to tap into that other side that man may have atrophied or not as strong as me. So
Okay.
being a guy, I think like a woman is a guide for like our man. Always has been like boys love their
Yeah. Yeah.
things of that sort. So I think just being like that guide as a spouse, as a sibling, as a mother, like whatever, like your role would be, like
Mhm.
like be very important.
I love that. There's so much you said that I could touch on, right? Because as a trauma professional, um, I realize that our experiences go with us. I always talk about that, right? We think because things happened years ago, we should just leave it there. Oh no, yeah, and it goes with you, right? And oftentimes it is that little child that still needs some, nurturing, help navigating. And we forget that as human beings, right? All of our experiences go with us. And if we don't know how to go back and nurture the little child so that this man or woman now can know how to navigate life, we continue to, to struggle, right? So women, specifically African American women, you know, um, we are also seen in a certain light as being angry, angry, strong Black women, right? Whatever strength is, right? But as women in general, we are allowed to talk about our emotions, right? We're kind of nurtured in that way too. And I always tell people, we have this misconception that women are naturally nurturing, innately nurturing. That's so not true. We're taught how to be nurturing, right? Explicitly, implicitly, watching our mothers, watching our aunts, grandmothers, whomever. And then when little girls cry, we're quick to hold them in. Okay, what's wrong, mommy? And you love on them and all of that. Okay, so women are taught how to be emotional, right? Express themselves more. And while women preferably want to engage emotionally with the men in their lives, I've learned over my years, right, that most men, when the woman say, "Can we talk?" That's like an alarm. Like, oh no, here she goes. Right? But actually, it's only because that man struggles with really understanding your emotional standpoint, right? And if I believe as women, if we open ourselves up to helping him out, with understanding that emotional standpoint versus always feeling like, well, dang, I gotta raise a man. I don't want to do that. That's really not what you're doing. What you're doing is you're help nurturing this man, specifically our African American men, because they've gone through so much, right? Even scientifically, with epigenetics, they've shown that the trauma from our ancestors, right? It's in us. And so we hold this trauma within ourselves. They say 7 generations, right? It goes with us. And so we're already coming in with this DNA, okay, that is imprinted in us from this traumatic past. And now you're coming into a world that continues to traumatize you and suppress you. And that alone is difficult, right? So opening up a space, and I'm going to say this to any woman that is watching, opening up a space for men to feel comfortable, the men in your life, to talk to you about their emotions, right? And even when you say, let's talk, and you notice that they are frustrated by you saying that, open up a space to welcome them into understanding why it is that you want to talk to them versus judging them. Not that every woman does it, because we don't. But for those who are misunderstanding this, we need to open up this platform for men to have a space to talk and feel comfortable and create that safe space, by the way, that I just mentioned. Because all of our men need a safe space, right? And women in general, we have this idea that, no, I want a manly man, whatever that looks like. A manly man, right? That he can handle this and he can do this. But manly men feel, right?
Probably feel a lot more.
Oh, yes.
Like we didn't account for.
Exactly.
I always use like the example of, like a little boy might have his first crush or something.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, like it was this girl in like my French class, like in the 7th grade. And I said, man, I really like you. She was like, she laughed, and I held on to that laugh for a very long time until my adult.
Right.
So like these things carry like with us all the time. And when you don't have the village or the community to help you navigate it, all you can do is operate from a place of fear.
Right.
And fear can turn into agitation. So all you're trying to do is just keep everything like away. So like I would say, if you have a male in your life and you want to have one of those, we need to talk.
Yeah.
It's okay to start the conversation off with how are you feeling?
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
And how does this make you feel?
Exactly. Okay.
Then that way the person can kind of at least get a safe space, like, okay, wow, like this conversation isn't about just me doing something, what I'm not doing. doing and things of that sort, is trying to figure out, how did I even get to this point? Are you okay?
Yeah.
Like, of course, like, he knew that he had to X, Y, Z, whatever, but for some reason he did. Is there something else like going on? Are you tired? Like, if work happening, is something, something else. Things are intertwined. Things don't just float by themselves. Everything kind of touches on everything, and those interactions are the outcome of how we got behave and things of that sort. So I think giving like that room of, how are you feeling, and then you can open up and say, well, yeah, now I finally can see the baseline level of where the man is, and you can in turn express your feelings to him in a way that can be digestible. And if not, then it's just going to be, you're going to hear it, you're going to feel it, because I've heard that like that word before. We need to talk. We're talking about what? What you talking about? What we talking about? What? Go ahead, talk. But I think if you open it up, like with the person in mind at first, that'll go a long way for a male. Then it's like, oh, really? Like, you want to see like what's going on like with me, and how did I get here? And you can help them navigate it. And I think that can circumvent a lot of our conflicts and issues in our interpersonal relationships.
I love it. I hope you women heard that. I love it. And we're just talking about men in general, because I say, as a woman, I have had friends from various cultures. We're talking about European Americans, Asian, okay, Hispanics, and all men are struggling in this area of emotions, and having that safe space. And as women in their lives, we have to know how to nurture that. Okay, so I just hope you all are listening to this conversation well, because you said that very well. I love it. So opening up that space is key.
It's very key.
It's very key. And also too, understanding too that, because I've had this conversation with another gentleman in one of the recent shows, is that also men specifically, African American men too, but men in general, they show depression differently than women, right? And because they're always having to carry this masculinity on them, okay? All men have to carry it. It's just that African American men have to carry it, 100-fold. But all men have to carry it. And so often they're depressed, right? They struggle. And when men get depressed, they're angry. And so the smallest thing that you say to them, is specifically with African American men, because they're always being questioned in society. And now you have this male in your house, and you're questioning why he didn't do something as simple as take out the garbage, right? Versus always empowering him. If you're always questioning him, then you just reinforce the same thing the society has done, right? And so you get this response with anger. And you're trying to figure out why he's angry, right? And all the time he's angry because he's already having to deal with so much from society, and always being questioned as a male in society. And then he comes in the house, and while women are trying to, knock men down, they're thinking, just asking a question like, why did you do this? Or can we talk? Because I'm noticing that you're not being present with me, and you're not giving me this, because women always want to talk about that. Now he gets frustrated, but he's frustrated, one, because he already has this on him with being questioned when he's in the world. And now in the house, he also is being questioned. So it often makes him feel like, can I get anything right? Right? And that anger comes on now, right? Because you're like, what do you mean? Like, what can I do? Like, every time we talk, I haven't done enough. And you see? And so that's a lot to carry as a man, right? And so my question to you is, if you could share a personal experience, or maybe you have a personal experience where you struggle with your own mental health, or even feeling this anger from whatever, society and relationships, because often with our African American men, they do experience a lot, okay? And while I can't take from men in general, I can only talk about the men that I interact with more, okay? And so I'm going to talk about our African American men. They do have a lot to carry, and I've noticed that because there's so much to carry, you know, with once you walk outside your door, you have to be so hyper vigilant watching everything, right? And then you come home and you're constantly being questioned. It can do something to your sense of self. Okay, so I want you to just, if you don't mind, share any personal experiences that you've had.
with like my mental health.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I definitely have had the experience. So like when I was an undergrad, like I would always notice when I was a teenager, hindsight now, that I would just have times where I was just low, just for no reason. You know, like it would just be like during like a time of year. Then when I was in college, I had a really bad low spell,
Mm-hmm.
and it was very difficult for me to, you know, let alone do anything college wise, or grow or anything. So like, it was a lot of time in bed. It was a lot of time avoiding people. It was a lot of tears with it as like as well. And it was all silent. I really didn't put it out there until one day I got into one of those spaces and I ended up doing something that scared me
Mm-hmm.
as far as like my action and possible harming like myself. And then that pushed me to go see somebody because it was almost like this whole nother out of body experience of, oh my gosh, like I need to get a hold of this. So like I ended up going in and going into our clinic, of course, diving through bushes because you don't want nobody to see you go talk to the lady. So so like I was able to get in and I was actually diagnosed with clinical depression.
Mm-hmm.
And it was something that now that I've had all these years of experience, like it makes a lot more sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually got re-diagnosed recently.
Okay.
Like I was misdiagnosed early on.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then that kind of cleared it up, like as well. But like that journey of being able to understand what the depression was,
Right.
and how it was weighing on me, and how much it really fostered this aggression sometimes because I'm sad. So because I'm sad and I can't get myself unsad, I'm angry because
Right.
so now if something is around me and it's not, and it's messing with me while I'm sad, then I become agitated. And then that is an outburst. And I noticed that I was like, man, like this is crazy. Like I'm walking around almost looking for trouble because that's the only outlet
Right.
that I knew.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like I'm sad, I'm gonna make you sad too.
Right.
You know, so I think it's or mad or angry or like whatever it was. But yeah. I've been dealing with depression for quite some time. I even to be quite candid, like I'm a person that really doesn't mind talking about my conditions and what I've been going through because I realize how important it is for us as people and society, but especially as men, say it out loud. You never know who can say it right. You know, so like like one of my first experiences of having that type of community, I saw like an article on depression or something like that, and I put it on Facebook for those of us who suffer. And there was like so many people were on it. Like, oh my gosh, I would have never thought of you because I was active on campus. I was doing this. I was doing a lot, and you know, I'm a jokester, I'm a funny person, but I'll have like my times like when I was in the corner. So that's what allowed me to realize how important it is to open up about it because then I have a sense of community. Because I'm like, man, oh gosh, I thought I was the only one. And then recently, like I was still noticing, like with my mental health, I was having ups and downs. It was difficult, and I was medicated. I decided to take that serious because, like I would lean up like on my friends. One of them like was a doctor, and he was like man, thank you for your family. It was calling me, checking. He's like, man, but what if I'm not here? So you're gonna have to take care of like of the self. So that made me go in. And then I would still have really, really, really fun eyes. And really, really, really bad look, anger, sort of like a mix of. So then 3 years ago, I got re-diagnosed with bipolar disorder. And it made so much, it was a scary diagnosis to hear it as Black folks. No one none of that type of stuff, man. You know, but it's something that made sense to me once I knew, although like it was like other labels, something else I have to deal with. But being able to manage it, and being able to have the tools and the know of what's going on, now I can at least put up a good fight, versus just getting beat up. I can at least, pick up a rock now. I know I can use this as
Right.
So like mental health and mental challenges has been something that I have dealt with for quite some time. Had a very traumatic upbringing, not by anyone's hand, just circumstance.
Right.
Seeing violence growing up, not having the right to decompress,
Right.
like hearing, watching my sister's godfather get shot across the street, and all my therapy was go sit under the table and just try to forget it.
Right.
So yeah.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that authenticity, right? Because I often tell people too that our diagnosis doesn't define us, right? I'm a therapist. Do I struggle with anxiety sometimes? Oh, yes, because I have my own history of trauma, right? And I try to help people understand that doesn't define you. You define, right? It's a diagnosis. The same way if you had hypertension, right? Diabetes, right? You care for that thing. And that's important, in that we don't see people out of this lens of bipolar depression. But when we come back, I want to talk about a little bit more about depression. What do you use to cope, and some other things when we come back. We'll be right back. If you are a professional or someone with a story and would like to be a guest on the show, go to our website, intaketalkshow.com, and complete the form to be a guest. Perhaps you are someone with a question or comment that you would like addressed on the show. Again, go to our website, intaketalkshow.com, and complete the contact form. I hope to see you soon. And remember to continue to talk about mental health and how to make yours a priority.
This concludes our interview with Cendino. Did you enjoy this episode? We'd love to hear from you. Leave your comments and feedback on our YouTube channel or Facebook page. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on your favorite podcast platforms so you never miss an episode. Join us next week as we continue our conversation with Cendino and wrap up our men's mental health series. Thanks for watching.